Aging is a privilege. Welcome to Vintage Gay, the podcast. All right. Of age and value. I looked it up again and it said lighthearted and carefree. Gay.
Okay.
So I Googled you, Chas, because I was like, I'm gonna look everything up because I know you in a different way. Uh,
Right.
it says Chas Salvador Bono, born Chastity San Bono, March 4th, 1969, is an American writer, musician, and actor. His parents are entertainers Sonny Bono and Cher, and he became widely known in his appearance as a child on their television show, The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour. Bono is a trans man in 1995 while then presenting as a woman, and several years after being outed as a lesbian by the tabloid press, Bono publicly self identified as a lesbian in a cover story in a leading American gay monthly magazine, The Advocate. Bono eventually went on to discuss the process of coming out to oneself and others in two books. Family Outing, a guide to the coming out process for gays, lesbians, and their families, 1998, included his coming out account. The memoir, The End of Innocence, 2003, discusses his outing, music career, and partner Joanne's death from non Hodgkin's lymphoma. Between 2008 and 10, Bono became sought out transgender affirming care, commonly called gender transition. A two-part Entertainment Tonight feature in June 2009 explained that medical transition had started a year before, on May 2010. He legally changed his ID to match his gender and his name. A documentary, Bono's Experience Becoming Chas, was screened at the Cannes 2011 Film Festival and later made its television debut on the Oprah Winfrey Network. So you're an author and all of it. I didn't know you
I
had two
guess.
books.
And it doesn't even talk about what I do now. So,
No, it says the transition in mid 2008, Bono became undergoing physical and social transition from female to male. This is confirming in June 2009 by his publicist. We identified Bono's name as Chaz Bono and said it is Chaz. Hope that his choice to transition will open hearts and minds of the public regarding this issue. And then it says you became a big competitor on Dancing with the Stars. But tell us
okay.
about, so it gets a little bit into it, but
Yeah,
it's like when you're sober, it's like what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now.
totally. Yeah,
But I didn't know you
exactly.
wrote books. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I wrote three books.
Are they still out?
I don't think you can get the end of Innocence, which is probably okay. It's not the best. It's not my best one, but you can definitely still get Transition, which was the last one that I wrote.
Oh,
And I don't know about my first book, which was a coming out guide for gay and lesbian people and their family members. And I don't know if that's still in print.
when I was little, I was identifiably gay. Like I was the town sissy. Like there was
Sure.
one. And and I remember I was looking at these pictures and I was laughing because it was my dad was my football coach, my Indian White Guys troop leader, my Boy Scout troop leader,
Oh
bought
my
me a
God.
mini bike, took me hunting when I was 11. You know what I mean? Like all those things. And I
I
would have
can't see
rather
you
been
doing
in
those
a
things, Kenny.
and just to like I don't know. Now I can climb a tree in a dress, but it is
Okay. That's a handy skill.
but I would have loved to be the one in the Bob Mackie ruffly dress.
I'm
As a kid.
sure.
Like you know what I mean? In that picture, I was like, wow, it's so different places and different things and what was it like growing up knowing you were in the wrong body?
So, I mean, first of all, it wasn't something like I knew that I felt like a boy when I was a kid and wished I was a boy, but it didn't go beyond that. I didn't know that there was anything, that you could do about it. So it was definitely like a journey of, the first thing that hit me at puberty was sexual orientation. I realized that I was attracted to women and made the conclusion that I was a lesbian. And then it took, years to figure out why that identification just wasn't it, and so it's definitely, yeah, it's a long journey. I'm really glad that kids today are figuring it out, when they're young and are able to live most of their, their adult life, at least as a trans person, as in the right body.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I remember I've gone through the surgeries with friends of mine, and when I moved to New York, because my Mormon father said if you put all the freaks and fags on an island, I found it. It was Manhattan, and I stayed there for a long time. And
Okay.
my roommate that got me my first wig was a trans woman. She stole me my first wig that changed my life, and it was 1991. And so it's always like I have seen people, like I have watched people fight to be who they are. And
Yes.
and I remember a couple of my girlfriends told me that the biggest moment was when they got their passport or their driver's license with the right gender on it. What was the moment for you? It could be simple.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think so. I was on testosterone for about 6 months, and then I had my top surgery. And after I was healed from my top surgery, but pretty close after, my girlfriend at the time's family was doing a family reunion in Vegas.
Okay.
And so we went up to Vegas. And what I remember most is, you know, being called sir by every person who worked in the hotel. And that was to me like just a huge moment.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. It's like the first time you've seen.
It's the first time I felt seen.
Ah, that's
Yeah.
magical. Can you tell anyone like there's 10 subscribers, but if someone watches it that's young and trans, what is top surgery?
Okay. So top surgery is when they,
Ooh.
take your female chest and turn it into a male chest. And it's, I found it a surprisingly easy surgery to get through, and it made me so happy. I mean, I was so happy. I remember after surgery just being so happy. I mean, I had so much gauze around me and stuff. I couldn't see anything, but
You knew they were gone.
just knowing they were gone.
Ah,
Yeah. And seeing, and then, going back for my appointment with the surgeon and having the bandages taken off and stuff, and just, seeing it for the first time was, yeah, it was amazing. I
what
was
about the
very
first time you
dysmorphic about my chest, so it was really like, I mean, I just hated them from the moment they started growing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, puberty for me was really a jarring experience the first time,
Right.
because I was this, straight up and down kid, and all my friends were, and then all of a sudden I started, really developing, and I was, had a curvy, kind of voluptuous body, which is of course the last thing as a man you want to see your body turning into.
It's true.
Yeah, it
It,
is.
I'm telling you, just the moment that you were talking about the first time, I'm sure that you got to wear board shorts and no shirt or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like I
That
was
was
just like there in my head going,
yeah,
I've been
yeah,
there, and the celebration of like,
yeah, that was great too. Yeah, I mean, I always wore board shorts and like exercise bra. And so yes, when I didn't have to wear anything and I just was in my board shorts, oh my God. Yeah, it sounds like, you know, trans people go through this phase in early, because I don't want people to think like I don't think about any of this anymore. It's just my regular everyday life. But when you're first going through the process, you at least I became very just like into every single change. It's a very narcissistic period, and then and then it goes away.
And then you
But
settle and
yeah, and then you
you're in the
settle.
right place.
Exactly.
We're 3 years apart. I'm older, so we were born in a time that wasn't welcoming and accepting. But
No,
now, like,
it's better, but like you mentioned the drivers, the IDs and stuff.
yeah,
That's changed.
yeah,
So, I mean, thank God I updated my passport recently, so I've got like 7 years on that, and I did my license not long ago. So I mean, I've got some time, but it's scary.
it is. It is. That's why I think it's so important, and you're so important, and this Pride season is so important. You know what I mean? I was talking
Yeah,
to Margaret and about a couple months ago, and I was like, let's participate. Find something we can ride on.
yeah,
And I was like, I know you're gonna say like the trans float. And she was like, so I'm gonna call tomorrow. And
okay,
it was like it was we we both were talking about how important that is in our community right now and the acknowledgement of it. And I called my mom and Margaret because I was a little bit nervous because you're my friend and I'm
hmm
very private about you and with you and I'm
right,
very private. And so I was like, I don't know what to ask Chaz because like I'm so you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I called my mom this morning and I said, she was so when I first got moved to LA, I had been gone for 25 years and drunk on that island.
hmm
So she didn't have a son. And so when I came back, the thing that we could talk about was Dancing with the Stars because that was a common thing.
okay,
Christy Alley at the time, I believe. And so
hmm
she was the one my mom was rooting for, and she was like all in. And then you were on it. It's so funny. Three of my closest friends, you, Margaret, and Jody, were all on it.
that's so funny.
I know. And so I called her and I said, did you watch Dancing with the Stars when Chess was on it? And she said, of course. And I said, if you could ask him any question, what would you ask him? And she stopped for a second and she said, is he happy? And I was
Okay.
like, that's a mother question.
Such a mother question. Yeah, I mean, definitely. This was the best thing that I ever did for myself. It's a hard time right now to be trans.
Yeah,
I'll say that with the Trump administration, and it's scary.
yeah,
And I don't feel as calm and as at ease as I did beforehand.
yeah,
But in general, yes, I'm a very, happy, positive,
yeah.
glasses half full kind of person. And yeah, and I mean, it's cool that she saw that. I at the time that I was doing it, it was, I was trying to stay on there. I'm not like a trained dancer or anything, but I was just trying to stay on as long as I could so that people would, you know,
How long did you stay?
I think I stayed till this. I think I got voted off on the sixth episode. So
Oh,
pretty
that's
good.
a
I
long
mean,
time.
yeah, 6 out of 10. And then they bring you back for the last one. So yeah,
That was so brave. Like that, I think for the community, the like that is like you doing that and being the first trans person and the first trans man and all of that and you being as shy as you are and to get out there, I just say, wow. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's cool. I remember it.
yeah,
And I think Laverne being on time was a big moment too.
yep,
Two things happened that
yeah.
were like we were visible like as a people and that's cool and that you were brave enough to do it because that's putting yourself up for a lot of criticism.
I really enjoyed doing that show. I really enjoyed the people. I enjoyed doing it. I had a lot of fun. We had a great cast. I was just telling somebody this story, but our cast was incredibly close and non-competitive.
Who was on it with you?
Oh, David Arquette, Nancy Grace, J.R. Rodriguez won, who was great. Rob oh my God, this is Kardashian. I was like, how can I not come up with this name? Um, they're everywhere. Rob Kardashian from Wilson Phillips. This is horrible. Why can't I think of her? You know who I'm talking about, right? From Wilson Phillips, the Phillips, of
Uh,
Phillips. Yeah,
China, right?
China. Thank you.
Okay.
And
That's cool. That's a
I
good
think
cast.
it was great. Everybody, like I said, everybody really got along. Even I mean, like Nancy Grace and I hit it off before I'd ever seen her on TV, and we were really tight. And I saw her on TV, and I remember going in the next day, and I was like, "Who's that person?" Because that's not you. Like, who is that?
Oh, that's cool. And like you light up when you talk about it. So I love that it was that
I,
good of
it
an
was it.
experience.
Look at it. It ultimately it ended up changing, my life in that it was the first time that I'd done any type of performance, stuff in forever, and I don't think that I would be, now a working actor and have produced 3 movies if it wasn't for Dancing with the Stars, because it just restarted to reawaken creativity in me, I believe. Artistic creativity
Yeah.
that I hadn't tapped into in years.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool. I love
Yeah,
and and from a little old lady sitting in Orange County, California, my
yeah.
mom was like, you know what I mean? Like she was introduced to something and saw the vulnerability and that whatever. And I think that you did a great thing for our community as well.
Thank you. Thanks.
I hope you see that.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. I was really aware of it at the time, and I was really it was definitely the most recognizable I've ever been, which was fun, but not really for
But it's
me.
you. Like
But
that's
it's
cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it was fun, and people really seemed to, like me on the show.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
Well, you're lovable and likable. You know
Thank
that.
you.
You know
Thank you.
that.
So
I have a quick question. Where did the Salvador come from? The in your
uh,
middle name? That's a
that
cool
was my
name.
dad's first name.
Really?
Hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Sonny is a common nickname for Salvador with Italians.
I
In
saw that
Italian
on
family.
Google this morning. I was like, that's a cool middle name.
I also wanted an S name because those were my initials. That's what, I thought I can at least keep the same initials. And yeah, so
Someone told me every now and then your mom pops up on the gay TikTok that because I'm on the gay TikTok, and
uh-huh.
someone said that they saw that when her book came out that she said she got your approval to use your dead name
Yes.
in the first book, and then there will be a second book. Is that true?
Yeah, it was. I mean, look, it was something the book people really wanted. I didn't feel 100% comfortable with it, but I did give my consent, and my real name will be in the
Second.
next one. Yeah.
Okay. And then can you explain what a dead name is to
Sure, yeah. So when a trans person, transitions and then goes and does their legal paperwork to choose a new name that, fits them now, our birth name we refer to as our dead name.
I love that. I mean, it's like it sounds it sounds a little.
It sounds a little, yeah, it might sound a little extreme to people, but I mean, again, I can tell you that I hated my name my entire life. Everybody called me, before I transitioned, everybody called me Chas, Chas, and so that wasn't a huge transition for me to have to deal with either. I'd always called myself Chaz, so
I love that. I just think it's so cool that the birth of you and that you were courageous enough to do it on television, like and the birth of Chaz and that birth name is
mhm.
the birth of your real identity.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
100%.
I I remember when I was a kid, they baptized me Lutheran, they baptized me Mormon, they sent me to seminary. and all these things and tried to pray it out of me, the gay out of me. And the moment that I put on a dress or did whatever, like I felt at home in my own creative drag queen, like club kid self, you know?
Right.
And it changed me as a stylist, as a creative person, as everything. And so I know the moment where you find like you're like, oh, I'm comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how like being comfortable in your skin when you haven't been for most of your life changes everything.
Yeah.
Like it's just everything becomes easier because you feel comfortable in your body. I mean, it's kind of makes sense. It's why I, started acting again so late in life was because I couldn't do it in a female body. I didn't know why when I was younger and in acting school, but it became once I transitioned and started acting, it was like, oh my God, this is so much easier. It's just
You
the
talked about it
basics.
once and you were so like you were just glowing when you were talking about it. And I was like, you found the thing he likes, that he loves.
Yeah,
Boy,
yeah,
that's
no, I
cool.
mean, it is really cool, and it was a great, coming full circle for me in that, I'd gone to performing arts, high school New York, and when in my senior year, I played a male part in a big performance of Midsummer Night's Dream. And after that, was like, okay, that was so easy and good. And I can't do that, playing girls. So I
Yeah.
quit. I stopped acting. I mean, and it was my passion.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
yeah.
What's your favorite role you've had so far? You've had some good ones.
Yeah, probably my second season on American Horror Story, playing Gary on Cult. I really loved that. It was unusual in that I got to develop this character, over the course of the season,
Oh,
and make choices that I could then see kind of the ripple effects of, and that was probably my one of my favorite times. I produced before I started working professionally while I was trying to get agents and managers and the stuff you need to work. I produced a small production of a play called Down the Road, which is by Lee Blessing, and it's about a couple who are writers that go to write a serial killer's book. And I played the serial killer, and honestly, at the time it was the most fun I'd ever had acting. So I think that's what started to draw me into horror, and I really enjoy working in that job.
oh, wow. Yeah, I saw you. I even see I saw you at a
Yeah,
fitting too. And you just seem happy. Like you
yeah.
just seem like I'm doing this thing. It's so cool. I texted Margaret too and said, Margaret, what should I ask Chaz? And
Did Margaret ever tell you the story when I scared the crap out of her after an
no,
AA meeting?
no, no.
I
She
had
loves you.
seen her in the big Sunday meeting,
Uh-huh.
and but we didn't cross, we just for whatever reason didn't cross paths. And so as I was with Rick, and
Who I love.
and yeah, and just to put into Rick is just,
He's the one that encouraged me to use my personality to do something like this or do voiceover.
yeah, that sounds like Rick. Yeah,
Was
he's
the
he's
first one for like 3 years. Was like, how are
yeah.
you doing? Have you done anything? Have you sent anything? And I was like, I love this man.
Yeah, he's one of I don't want to say few. He's a great agent, and there's not a lot of them.
Yeah.
He actually really cares, and but so we were walking back to the car after the meeting, and I see Margaret in her car, and so I think I walked up and kind of hit the window, and I was like, you know, giving her the roll down sign, and we hadn't seen each other in a while, so she didn't really know what I looked like, and she And she was like, no, tariff. And I was like, Margaret,
No,
it
sir. No,
says
sir. No,
it's
sir.
no. She's like, nope, not rolling that down for you.
Here, I'm going to ask you my questions. What would you say
Okay.
to the trans person that feels defeated?
Oh boy. You mean because of the times that we're in?
Yes.
Okay. I would say I totally understand how you feel. And, like I think the best thing that trans people can do is at this point is hang tight and, you know, and do what we can do as a community. I'll give you an example. I just got asked to do a all trans reading of Streetcar Named Desire, stage reading. And when I got the ask for that, it was like, okay, this feels good. Like we're doing what we do, and we're kind of just like, fuck everything that's happening on. This is how we as actors can join together and give strength to the community.
How can someone find that, see that, or
Oh, it's over. We did two staged readings, and that
oh,
was
okay.
just a little side thing. But for me, it was kind of the first time that because I've got most of my friends are. I mean, I have great trans friends, but the majority are cisgender. So that when I got that call, and I got it from a good friend of mine, this guy Brian Michael, who's an actor who was on Lone Star 911 the whole time that was on.
Oh,
So great guy. I love him. And he asked me to do it, and it just felt like yes. It was like one of those things that I just was like, yes, this is the time to do this type of stuff.
that's so cool. I found Margaret's question. It says, what can trans people do right now to help young trans people?
I mean, you can certainly, if you want to get involved, there are organizations that are doing work for trans youth. It's such a sticky, it's they've made such a huge deal of it on the right that it's hard. I mean, it's hard, and to be a kid, a trans kid right now, where you used to be able, even places where you used to be able to transition, like Children's Hospital Los Angeles has had a great program for years, and I think even they have gotten a little skittish since the Trump administration.
Yeah.
So I would tell trans kids, and if you can transition and you have your parents' support and everything, great. If you can't transition, and you might have your parents' support, but live in a state where they don't provide, minors with transgender care, then I would say just get the support where you can and hang out until you're 18 and can, make the decision yourself.
What can non-trans people do to help trans people?
Get involved as an advocate.
Yeah.
There's a million, again, organizations and places that you can go and volunteer with or give money to, or go to an event or whatever. I think there's just it's tons of stuff that allies can do. And it's great too because sometimes allies are in a position to talk to other people, or for example, I've worked with an organization called Transforming Family for years, and it has all different types of groups for the entire family and support, and it's so important. You really see like the difference between kids who have family support and are being respected and everything versus kids who aren't. It's literally kind of a life, and kids that are getting supported and have availability to transgender medicine really do great.
Okay.
I've seen probably hundreds of teens transition, and it's I've never seen anybody who, I don't know of and haven't seen anybody who, regretted this.
I haven't either. I
Yeah.
haven't either. I
And
have
it doesn't
not.
matter if they're kids. I mean, you know what you know. The first thing you learn, I think, is probably gender because it's just tapped into us from the time we're little. Decor in our rooms and our toys that are first gotten to when you get to, kindergarten and grade school where they're always, here's the boys line, here's the girl. It's like, yeah, I knew I wanted to be in the boys line.
Mhm.
Is
And
as
I wanted
long
to be a
back as I can.
cheerleader. And you were in the Bob Mackie dress I wanted to be in.
At a certain
Probably.
point, I went into Elizabeth Courtney, which was, where Bob worked back then. And I told him, no more dresses. Dresses are done now.
Do you know something? I'm going to tell you something. No one knows this. Only five people. And we, in the pandemic, I grabbed my sponsees and we formed a group and we did the artist's way because I
Okay.
wanted everyone to get creative and get out and go on artist dates and do those things. And you had to write a letter as your childhood self to somebody. I wrote it to Bob Mackie.
Wow.
I wrote a letter. I have it in my phone. No one's ever heard it except for that group of people. But that man changed my life. And probably the drag queen I am today is because of him.
Yeah.
Funny?
Yeah. No, it makes total sense. I mean, he's a genius.
Yeah. And I think, I also think Dolly Parton did too. The last question from Margaret, and I'll let you go, is what are your hopes that things will change for the trans community?
Yeah, my hope is that well, I mean, we've gotten backtracked.
Mhm.
So we need to really start to figure out how to I believe change the narrative
Mhm.
that is coming out of the White House about us
Mhm.
and changing, whatever trying to in some way just allay the fears that people have about us, which are completely ridiculous. I mean, there's not a more vulnerable, powerless, unfortunately, political community than the trans community. Like nobody is coming to get you or do any like you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
just take you do you and I'll do me and let's leave it there. That's what I don't get, that kind of thing of like worrying about what other people are doing that you don't know, you've never met, and has nothing to do with your life, and you've just been terrified by people who are trying to use this politically.
They're just terrified of our existence. And then
Yeah.
Laverne said something. She showed up on my TikTok the other day and she just said, trans people are not responsible for the price of eggs.
Right? I mean, it's like we are not responsible for anybody who's having a hard time, right now, financially or any other way. It's not our fault. There's not much of us. We are one less than 1% of the population.
Yeah,
So, this is much ado about nothing. And I feel like we need to try to start to get that message out there that this is you got people, you're freaking out about people that you might never even encounter, or if you do you won't know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And thank God that there's people out there that have brought visibility to trans visibility to the light. You know what I mean? Thank God for
Yeah.
Dancing with the Stars bringing you on, and that little old lady in Orange County got to see you dance, and then someone, cast all these different people in television shows, which when you and I were children, we or kids or teenagers, we didn't have anyone to identify with.
No, I mean we didn't. I mean the first gay character I can think of was Billy Crystal on Soap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That would go. Now we're showing our age.
And he wasn't even gay in real life.
No, of course not.
but now they're casting real trans people as trans people, and that is a breakthrough in itself. That
Yeah.
is something beautiful to see.
I'm waiting to get to the point where they realize they can cast trans actors in other parts, in
Yes.
cisgender
Yeah.
parts as well.
Yes.
You know,
That's on the way.
yeah.
I think that's on the way. I think that there is I think
I've been waiting a while because I don't get auditioned for trans parts.
oh wow.
I don't look whatever, they think that they're casting or want to cast. I don't look like that.
Oh yeah.
I just look like a guy.
You do.
So
You look just like a dude.
I am. I'm just a dude.
Yeah,
So
that's cool. That's cool.
totally.
Oh,
That's what I've always been. I mean, that is truly where the comfort is for me. Like I mean, I look back on it now and I was always kind of binary, just the opposite. And now you know, I
yeah.
mean I wanted to just be I felt like a straight guy. I wanted to be that. Now, thank God I finally got here. So
Thank you for shining your light. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for being my friend, and thank you for holding this torch. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty cool.
thank you, Kenny, and thank you for everything you do.